Every decade had its most amazing place to live. In that place, life was on the edge and very decadent. During the 1890s, it was Paris. Think Moulin Rouge and absinthe. In the 1920s, it was Berlin. Think cabaret. In the 50s, it was Hollywood, California. In the 1990s, it was Moscow, Russia, and I was there from 1993 to 1997. I'm Neil Goldstein, and greetings. I've collected several dozen of my stories from my time in Moscow. These are vignettes of my life, the people that I encountered, and the often very strange and sometimes unbelievable experiences that I had. I am looking to publish this collection, so agents, do take note. In the meantime, I've recorded a few, and depending on any traction that these might get, I'll post them up from time to time of some of these stories. I hope you enjoy them as I enjoyed reliving them as I tell them to you. Also, press like and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. After I receive maybe 50 comments or 500 views, I'll start randomly picking names, contacting you, and I'll send you some free Soviet swag and Russian swag that I collected during my time there. And it might encourage me to record another story. Enjoy. This story is Black Like You and I Don't Like You. Russians, Racism, and Redemption. It was late one winter Saturday evening, early Sunday morning. I was driving from the suburbs past the area Yugo-Zapадny, which is southwest area of Moscow. I had dinner with friends and was returning home. It was a very cold night, and Moscow had very cold days and nights. And there was little traffic in this faraway area of Moscow. There were few apartment buildings on the road home. It was just an empty and long road. After driving 20 minutes, I slowed down as I saw a short man in a big black fur hat standing by the road trying to flag down a car for a ride. You know, that's it, flagging down the car for a ride. This was typical in these days. Every car was a taxi. You would hold your hand out and a car would stop. If you were both going in the same direction, they would take you for a few rubles. In my entire life, I never picked up a stranger in my car. Never. As I slowed down, I looked, and my good deed genes kicked in. I had to pick this guy up. I had no choice once I realized what was happening with this guy. On this night, this poor man had several challenges. For the last 20 minutes, I saw no other cars. Second, this guy was black. And I knew all too well that Russians really don't like black people. Russia was a place where white supremacist Russians had few visible minorities to attack. So they would attack white Russians who listened to rap and hip-hop music in those days. I realized if I didn't pick this guy up, he would be stranded here until daylight at best. And this was the famous Russian winter. And daylight was not at 7 a.m. The sun rose much later. It would be like 10 a.m. After I stopped, he opened the door, and in my best non-American accented Russian, I asked in a gruff way, "Kuda? A вы куда? Where are you going?" Около университет Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba, near Patrice Lumumba University. Patrice Lumumba University was a university established to educate students from the developing world during Soviet times, and also it was a front for the KGB. It had numerous African, Asian, and South American students. Давай, поехали. Come on, let's go. А вы откуда? Where are you from? I asked after we started driving. Я из Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. Then in English, with my perfect American accent, I said, "So you speak English?" "Да, я говорю." "Yes, I speak it," he says to me in Russian. In English, I said, "I'm American." "No, I'm not from America. I'm from Nigeria." And I said, "Not you. I'm from America. I'm from the United States." "Oh, you're from America. Thank you so much for picking me up. Thank you so much." "How much will this ride cost?" Usually, you would negotiate that before we get in the car. I'm just doing this as a favor for you. I know that no one would pick you up here in Russia. How were you planning on getting home at this hour? I would walk until I could get to a metro. It must have been a 5-mile walk from where he was. Or a car would take me, but you are right, no one would pick me up. You are such a good man. Thank you for picking me up. We drove about 30 minutes and chatted about life in Moscow. We discussed our experiences with Russians. He kept reiterating that he faces such racism, discrimination, and being treated with an incredible level of disdain just because of the color of his skin. He was explaining Black Like Me, the book Black Like Me, except this was not the Deep South, and the Nigerian could not become white after a few weeks of not taking the medicine that turned the author of Black Like Me black. As we reached his neighborhood, he thanked me profusely. He wanted to pay me, and I just kept refusing, explaining I knew he would be stranded there by the side of the road. He asked for my phone number. I gave it to him. The next day, he called me again and thanked me, and just giving me such effusive praise for the car ride. It was really my pleasure, I told him. On Monday, I was at my office and talking with an American and a Russian colleague, and I was telling the American what I did. In jest, we said that because of how the average Russian feels towards people of color, this Nigerian would probably still be standing by the side of the road if I had not picked him up. Our Russian colleague Larissa blurted out, "That's not true at all. That's not true at all. He would have gotten a ride." Oh, please, Larissa. Russians are such racists. They would never pick up a black man. No, Russians are not racist at all. I incredulously looked at Larissa. Would you ever marry a black man? With a contorted look, she said, I would never marry a black man. Not only that, I would not even walk down the street with one. My American colleague and I were just trying to figure out how to pick up our mouths off the floor. Our eyes were at cartoon level popping out of our heads. She wouldn't even walk it down the street with a black person, she says. See? Russians are racist. Score 1 for me and 100 for Russian racism. After that, we returned to our desks. Later, Larissa said to us, You know, that conversation made me think. In my entire life, I had no exposure to black people. I guess that is why I said that comment. It was from ignorance. After thinking about it, I don't hate black people. How can I not like someone I have not met? It's a good point. Several years later, Larissa called me. She invited me to celebrate her marriage to a man from Mozambique. Okay, she did not marry anyone from Mozambique. I didn't go to her marriage. She was already married when I first met her and worked with her. I do know her husband very well. They're both still very dear friends. But my God, that would make such an incredible ending to the story. However, that didn't happen. Anyway, please press like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I'm going to send out some really cool Russian and Soviet swag. I'll randomly pick a few of the people who left a comment and send you some Russian and Soviet swag that I collected over the years. Have a great day and stay safe. And remember, there's plenty more stories of my time in Russia where that came from.